Yo, what's up, you guys? Titus here, man. Hey, we wanna have a look at this video, man. The sketchy areas of Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. Hey, this is my city, man. Let's check it out. Let's see.
Channel.
Let's see the
In this
facts
video, I'm
here.
going to cover the areas of Saskatoon that have a bit of a sketchy reputation. Every city in the world has areas that are a bit more rough, and Saskatoon is no exception. Last year, I did a similar video for my hometown of Edmonton, Alberta. It seemed like most people found that video to be useful, and off the bat, I have to say that I absolutely love Saskatoon. It's a beautiful city overall, and if you get the chance, I definitely recommend checking it out. At the same time, overall crime numbers in Saskatoon are typically significantly higher than the national average. Over the summer, the Saskatoon police put out a press release where they talked about the Stats Canada Crime Severity Index rankings for 2023, and Saskatoon had the 8th highest crime numbers across the country. Now, people in Saskatoon often say that the west side is sketchier than the east side. And of course, that's a broad generalization. Most of the areas that most people consider to be sketchy in the city are on the west side of the river. But if you're visiting Saskatoon, you'll probably end up spending most of your time on the west side. This is where downtown, City Park, River Landing, and Riversdale, as well as 33rd Street are. When people talk about the west side being sketchy, they're typically referring to the alphabets. This is an area directly west of downtown, and it's a series of lettered avenues going from Avenue A to Avenue Y. There is no Avenue Z.
Is that 22nd
And honestly,
Street?
in my experience, the southern portion of those lettered avenues can be a bit rough. Someone compiled the crime numbers for all of the neighborhoods in Saskatoon and put them on a graph. And the area that has by far the highest crime numbers, both for violent and nonviolent crimes, is Confederation Suburban Center. This is
Damn,
mostly a
really?
commercial area,
No
largely
way,
centered around
bro. I go there
Confederation
all the
Mall.
time,
This
man.
isn't
Everything
a very
is chill,
popular
man.
area of the city in terms of tourism.
Hey, if you mind your own
Confederation
business,
Mall
you ain't
kinda
getting
sucks.
hurt.
I'm sure
like,
most
not-
people in the city
like,
would agree.
Just mind your own
Although
business and
besides
nothing
the
will
mall,
happen.
this area does have a lot of stores.
Some people
so this
just
would be a
wanna-
decent area to visit if you're shopping for everyday goods. But there are definitely much more vibrant and walkable
Hey, man, nothing
neighborhoods in the
happened here
city.
before,
And in
man.
terms of overall crime numbers, this area ranks as the highest by a
It's
long
false,
shot.
man. False
And then
news here,
downtown
man.
does have fairly high crime rates compared to the other neighborhoods. But
Well,
this is typical in most cities
that's
across North
downtown,
America.
right? I mean,
and of course,
downtown
this is a
is
densely
downtown.
populated
A lot
area,
of shit
so
happening
crime numbers
downtown.
are going to be a bit higher. Now, honestly, in my opinion, downtown Saskatoon is not as sketchy as other areas of the city. If you're visiting Saskatoon, this is an
Downtown is
area that you
chill,
definitely
man.
have to check out. Most are
Just make sure you drive your car and mind your own business, man. That's how you get around the city. If you don't mind your own business, man, shit, man, something might happen to you. That's all.
urban centers across the continent have seen an increase in the amount of social disorder, but I wouldn't say
Don't
that this
stare
is
at
a big
people, man.
problem in
Learn the
downtown
hard way.
Saskatoon. Overall, this is a vibrant and interesting area of the city, but because of the population density, it ranks relatively high when you're looking at crime in different neighborhoods across the city. Now, I mentioned earlier that the alphabet avenues are traditionally seen as the sketchiest area of the city, and in my personal experience, that's definitely true. In particular, there are a couple neighborhoods in this area that can be a bit rough. First off, you've got Pleasant Hill, and the areas along 20th Street as
Oh,
well as
yeah,
around
this part
St.
is-
Paul's Hospital can
I
definitely be a
mean-
bit dodgy. And of course, this is typical of inner cities, and this is not
You
an
can still
extreme
walk
problem in
down here,
Saskatoon,
no problem.
But the
There's
area
just
of
gonna be a
Pleasant
lot
Hill
of
generally
homeless
has a bit
people
of a rough
and people
reputation, and I
in
think
need,
for
that's
good
it.
reason.
It just
And then
looks
also in
sketchy.
the
It's not really
alphabet area
sketchy.
directly
Just
beside
walk
Pleasant
down,
Hill
mind
is
your
the
own business,
neighborhood
and
of
you're safe.
Riversdale. This neighborhood can definitely be a bit rough, but it's also one of my favorite areas of the city. In fact, I mentioned it as one of the places to visit in my Saskatoon Top 10 video. And although it can be a bit dodgy, this is also one of the most popular neighborhoods in the city. Riversdale has had a bit of a reputation for quite a while, and it's experienced fairly rapid gentrification over the past 10 years or so. The main commercial area of Riversdale is in
This
the
place is
eastern
not bad.
portion
This
of the
place is
neighborhood,
dope,
and then
man.
it gets a lot more dodgy as you move west into the neighborhood. A resident of Saskatoon posted a popular video last year where they walked through this area and talked about its negative reputation. And that's definitely valid, but I think that this person could have
I
been
mean, you
a
can
lot
still
more
walk
balanced
through
in that
them, like,
video
they're not gonna
and
do
explain
anything,
that
like,
the neighborhood of Riversdale
doing their own-
also
their
has
own
many
thing, you're
excellent
doing your own
features.
stuff, like-
But yes, Riversdale can definitely be a bit dodgy, particularly as you move west into the neighborhood.
big ghetto,
a lot
that's
of
it.
this activity is centered along 20th Street, and then 22nd Street to the north can also be a bit rough at times.
No, this part is chill.
Another neighborhood that has fairly high violent and non-violent crime rates is Kelsey Woodlawn. This is in the
Where's
north
that?
central portion of the city. This is mostly an industrial and commercial
That's
area
Idlewild.
mixed in with some lower income residential. Many people I've talked to have mentioned this
Oh, I've
area.
never been
You
here
probably
before.
won't find yourself up in Kelsey Woodlawn unless you're visiting a specific business. And so as you can see, the neighborhoods that have by far the highest crime rates are all located on the west side of the river. And this is why the west side is generally seen as a bit sketchier than the east side. But I'll say it again, the west side also has most of the popular areas of the city. And so you definitely don't want to avoid the west side in general, but there are some areas that have a bit of a reputation. And then besides those areas, people have also mentioned a couple of other smaller areas in Saskatoon that can be a bit rough. A bunch of people mentioned the area of Exhibition. This is in the southern portion of the city and it's centered around the exhibition grounds. And many people also specifically mentioned the area around Stan's Place. I've never been here myself, but it definitely has a bit of a seedy reputation. And then finally, a bunch of people also mentioned the area of Sutherland. This is in the northeast portion of the city, and it's definitely come up a few times when I've talked to people about sketchy areas of Saskatoon. And not the entire neighborhood, but in particular the area around the main commercial street of Central Avenue. And apparently there are some bars and restaurants that have a bit of a reputation. But many people have also said that the areas of Sutherland and Exhibition have gotten a lot better over time, and they're not nearly as sketchy as they used to be. But overall, I'm sure that most people in Saskatoon would agree that the southern portion of the Alphabet Avenues west of the downtown core is usually the sketchiest area of the city.
But you can still walk through there, no problem.
I don't know Saskatoon
make sure you don't walk alone, that's all.
But I visit the city quite often, and I've talked about this subject with many people that live here. And generally, I think that this is a reasonable overview of some of the rough areas of Saskatoon. And of course, most crimes are caused by people that are not involved in gangs, but gang activity definitely plays a part. And if you're interested in the subject, a number of months ago I posted a video on the gang situation in Saskatchewan, including many street gangs that are active in Saskatoon.
Hey,
I've also posted.
Thanks for watching, you guys. Peace.